Look, maybe you can guess these 5 games I'm going to be talking about. Maybe. There are just so many incredible RPGs out there nowadays, and with the incredible backlog of retro RPGs, it's difficult to decide which to play. I'm going to be sharing 5 of these with you, and let me know if these are ones that you have played before. Consider this, if you've played these 5 games, you have a great start on the RPG genre. If you haven't played them, it's time. Final Fantasy VI. Final Fantasy VI is an incredible game. It has a wonderful story, has a very compelling story, and a very messed up antagonist there. The villain in the story, Kefka, is a dangerous, dangerous foe. He's one of those enemies that's still motivated by just evil reasons or whatever. He's just looking to conquer things. And while he's not unique in his aspirations, things kind of play out in a way that doesn't play out often in RPGs, at least not at the time that it came out. I mean, that laugh. Whew. It's spooky, it's a little weird. The game, of course, has many diverse characters in it. A lot of characters that come from different parts of the world or whatever, and from different walks of life that have come together to try to join up and take back this world, to re-establish control of this world. There are a few innovative gameplay mechanics, like there's some button entry stuff for some of the fighting, which is really neat and kind of unique to see at the time. The music in this game is just, it's nuts. It's nuts to think about how incredible this stuff is. Like the marching scene where, they're walking, dun, digga, dun, digga, dun. That stuff is just, it's beautiful. It's so memorable. It tears me up like a soup sandwich is what it does. The opera scene where she's hanging off the building, it's so good. It's so good. The world of Final Fantasy VI is very sprawling. There's a little bit of steampunk in there. There's a little bit of fantasy. There's a little bit of magic. There's a lot of stuff going on here, and it's really neat the way it all mixes together. The game is, of course, accessible, and that's why everyone should be playing it too. It's an older game, and it has a few newer things, I guess, for the time that it came out, but it's still very accessible. I don't think anybody would have an issue with the controls and such in this game. So even if you're just this is your first RPG, if you've never played an RPG before, this is not a bad place to start. It's great. And of course, very importantly, it had a huge impact. It had a huge impact on the RPG genre. It's often cited as one of the best 16-bit RPGs and one of the best RPGs of all time. The game takes about 35 hours to beat, but that's really nothing. That is a small investment for such a compelling and wonderful, I know I use that word a lot, but it's compelling. It's a wonderful game, and it's worth your time. Super Mario RPG. This game is awesome. It's such a wonderful marriage between platformer and RPG, and it could be your first RPG if you've never played an RPG before. It's beautiful. It's just, the story's so good. It's a beautiful game. It's got that Mario aesthetic. It's got the Mushroom Kingdom and all that stuff going on in it. It's great. The game features very captivating storyline, and it revolves, of course, around Mario and his friends, and they team up with some new characters to save the day, to save the world from this big sword, some Smithy or whatever, not just the sword, but Smithy that has attacked the Mushroom Kingdom. And you get some unlikely alliances here. You get to see Bowser and Mario team up, and it's really, really neat. And this is a great one to go, hey, do I like RPGs? The game introduces a bunch of new characters to the Mario universe, such as Geno, and my goodness, the following for Geno is just insane. Along with these characters was also Mallow, the little storm cloud dude, and of course we have the familiar faces of Princess Peach. But it has a very nostalgic sense to it, since so many people are familiar with Mario. You might like this. This might be an easy transition into RPGs for you. Something you could consider too is that the battle system is very engaging, because you can push a button to hit harder or hit twice, and it's very satisfying to hit something with a frying pan twice, or to hit something with symbols or whatever. It's really neat. There's a lot of varied gameplay in this game too, so it's a marriage between the platforming and the RPG element. There's some puzzles and mini games along the way that are really fun. The game, of course, features incredible music, and every game on this list, I'm going to tell you, incredible music from every single one of these, because a lot of the music makes the game, right? And this game, I don't think there's a single song in this game that is not enjoyable, that you couldn't put on your Spotify list or whatever and just crank up and enjoy. Oh, it's wonderful. Chances are, if you've never played this game, once you play it, you'll hear tunes that you recognize that came from this game. And with that, let's think about the cultural significance of this game. This game was huge. This was the uniting of Nintendo and Square Enix, I guess it was Squaresoft at the time, two juggernauts in the field. If you want to experience that, cultural phenomenon that we got with Super Mario Mario RPG, that's available to you, or it will be soon at least. If, at the timing of this video, the Super Mario RPG remake is coming out for the Nintendo Switch. Otherwise, it's a game you probably have to emulate or buy an original copy of. This game is super accessible. You will not have any trouble like learning to play this game. It's just, and this game just generally has aged well. Check out Super Mario RPG. Final Fantasy Tactics. This game made me a tactician. Well, it made me a tactician until I got Orlando, and then I became a monster because of the power, and I couldn't help myself. The level of depth and complexity in the strategic gameplay is just, it's not only addictive, it's impressive. The combat system in this game is just bar none. It's so good. Sometimes it can be difficult, but it is always rewarding. The game has an incredibly engaging story too. It's just so interesting to learn more and more about the political intrigue and the stuff that's going on in Ivalice. It's just, and this is where we get the roots for Ivalice. That's the place for Final Fantasy 12 and, you know, the revisit in Final Fantasy 14 and such. This is where this started. This timeline is spicy, man. It's spicy with political intrigue and like murder and just, personal ambition, unchecked ambition. It's just wild. We see the consequences of choice. We see corruption in the church. There's just a lot going on here. And this was really my first foray into a lot of that stuff as far as it goes with gaming. You know, it was like dabbling in the truths of the world, and it's dark. It gets a little dark, but it's super awesome. It's wonderful. The story's not minimized by today's standards. Like, things have not changed so much that you can't relate to this. The game's job system is incredible. There's so many different classes you can play as. You can be a black mage, you can be a white mage. There's a lot you could do here. You can be a calculator. If you want to be a chemist and gun people down, you could be Walter White, or you could play Final Fantasy Tactics and be a chemist. The game enables players to just customize characters, customize their abilities. It just adds so much strategy and replayability to the game, and it's just fun. You can combine jobs and abilities to create super overpowered characters or just wacky weird things. You can be a monk who uses a sword, or you can be a knight who punches like a truck. It's all your choice. It's knights, mages, ninjas, monks, calculators, dancers, bards, mediators. There's tons of stuff in this game, and the replayability is incredible. It has a beautiful art style. The music is just as impressive as any other game on this list, just as I said. And it had a huge cultural impact. And if you're into RPGs, you need to know about this stuff. A lot of the influence that we get nowadays for RPGs, and tactical RPGs in particular, comes from Final Fantasy Tactics. Of course, it wasn't the first tactical RPG, don't get me wrong, but it's a very important one. It's such an incredibly important one, and being able to play at ground zero and understand where this started, probably important to you. That's why you should play it. The game takes about 40 hours to beat, but then, hey, once you have those 40 hours in, you'll probably want to put another 40 hours in, and another 40 hours in. And this will equip you with the experience to talk to other people about Final Fantasy Tactics, because not many people hate this game. Everybody loves it. Let's just go with everybody loves it. Of course, we have to talk about Earthbound, right? Earthbound's world is a delightful, wonderful blend of everyday life with surreal and comedic elements. I got a meowing cat back here, but that's okay. It's all good. It's all part of the show. This game creates a fun, weird atmosphere, and it sets it apart from other RPGs. It creates some unexpected scenarios between the weird circumstances. You got aliens in a hometown. You got people, you're beating up some dude at an arcade. I mean, you're buying hamburgers, you're petting a cat while you're trying to record a video. Unlike a lot of RPGs, this game allows you to play with like normal modern day stuff like baseball bats and frying pans and whatever else. This takes place in a modern world, a modern day with cities, suburbs, and just general technology. It's not too far in the future, it's not too far in the past, it's America. It's Eagle Land, baby. When this game came out, I wasn't aware of any other games like this. This was a unique one for me to see a kid. You're just playing a child who was trying to stop aliens from taking over the world, right? And just the thought of, you know, swinging a baseball bat instead of a sword is, that was neat to me. See, at the time, people were concerned. People were concerned about Doom and all these violent games that were coming, Mortal Kombat. They were worried about these games coming out that were ultra violent, how this was going to affect people, right? How is this going to affect our children? But let me tell you this. They shouldn't be worrying about the Doom players. They shouldn't be worrying about the Mortal Kombat players. They should have been worried about me. Because it's like, I play this game and I think, I see a bird and I'm like, I want to beat that raven to death. I know it's supposed to, I want to beat this raven to death and take the hamburger from it and just talk on that punk with a skateboard's trying to stop me from getting to Frankie. I'm going to beat him up and take his hamburger and I want to dig in trash cans around the city and take stuff. I mean, just weird, like, neat stuff. I kid, somewhat. The important thing to remember is I got some problems. Beneath the whimsical exterior story of Earthbound. There's a touching story, an incredibly heartwarming story, a heart-wrenching story even at times. The kind of stuff that really just sticks with you. It's a story about friendship. It's about growing up. It's about dealing with adversity. Really, it's kind of like the opening to a Stephen King film or book or something like It. And these poignant moments will just reach into your soul and touch you. The music in this game, hey, like I said, with every other one, it's incredible. It's so good. If you don't believe me, if you're not going to play Earthbound, listen to the soundtrack. It's odd, but it's charming, and it's so eclectic. There's so much going on in this soundtrack. But it's still banger after banger after banger. This game is quite literally famous for its music, and particularly for the effect that it had on Toby Fox, the creator of Undertale. Of course, Earthbound is known for its inclusion of these parodies and these references to Western culture, like advertisements, products, Eagle Land. This sort of stuff adds a bit of nostalgia for people, and it's weird. It's I don't know how to put it. It's such an experience that you just have to play. You just have to try it. Of course, being so different has garnered it a cult following. Earthbound has a very passionate fan base from over the years, and its distinctiveness and its charm have really cemented its status as a cult classic. Even just playing Earthbound can create a sense of community and give you a sense of belonging to RPGs, because there are so many people in the world that have played. There are so many people in the world that have played this and absolutely love it. It's so good. Do it. The game takes about 28 hours to beat, and of course, again, it is an investment. It is an investment of a game that you should be playing. An RPG that no RPG fan should miss. And realistically, just no video game fan should miss. And of course, number one, we gotta do Chrono Trigger. We have to talk about Chrono Trigger. Why would that not be number one? Now, of course, there's people out there that say, hey, we've surpassed Chrono Trigger. Hey, I made a video saying we didn't surpass Chrono Trigger, like we never made it past that point, right? But it's good. It's so good. And the only way you're going to know whether we've passed Chrono Trigger or not is to actually experience Chrono Trigger for yourself. It is one of the greatest and most influential role-playing games that has ever been made. And of course, that's why it has to top this list. This story is timeless, pun completely intended. The storyline revolves around some time travel. It explores friendship, it explores fate, and really it explores the consequences of actions. It's like personal responsibility, and if you're going to be the hero, it might cost you. The game has multiple endings, and some of those are pretty dark and serious, including the death of a character. The game was a dream team collaboration. It was developed by a team that included the creator of Final Fantasy, Hironobu Sakaguchi, Yuji Horii, the creator of Dragon Quest, and the illustrator of Dragon Ball, Akira Toriyama. With your powers combined, we are Captain Chrono Trigger. You can't take ice cream, ice cream, ice cream and get something bad. The characters in this game are all awesome. There's not like a bad character in the game. It's because they all have their own unique motivations for their actions in the story, and it's just good writing. Within this game, you have time travel and such. You can go back into the past. You can use the power of this game to go back into the past and subscribe to my channel, but you don't need to, because you can do it right now. You can hit that little sub button, you can hit that like button if you wanted to. That'd be wonderful. I'd be happy to have you. I like to talk about RPGs. I like to do little deep dives on some RPGs. I talk about lists with RPGs, that sort of stuff. If you like this sort of content, I encourage you. Hit that subscribe button. I appreciate you. The game also includes some non-linear progression, just the way I like I just interrupted my video there to say, hey, please sub. The players can tackle the game's quests and story events in different orders, allowing for just a different, personalized, and exploratory gameplay experience. And this was a little unique for the time, because a lot of RPGs had like one way of doing things. This had multiple ways of doing things, and this game, like other games on this list, just had a huge cultural impact, and it still resonates today. It just the ripples through the rest of time, funny enough. And with this, of course, it is accessible. It is very accessible for newcomers. It's not a difficult game to learn to play. It is not overly hard. There's not a lot of grinding necessary. It's incredibly well paced. You never get bored. It is a perfect 10 out of 10, no doubt about it. Whether you're a fan of RPGs or you're just looking for a memorable gaming experience, Chrono Trigger has stood the test of time, and I don't think anybody's going to stand up and say it hasn't. Two types of people in this world, right? People who love Chrono Trigger and people who are liars. But you gotta check it out. It's so great. Above all other games on this list, I'd have to recommend Chrono Trigger. Earthbound's a real know, close second. But Chrono Trigger is just so important. With that, did you manage to guess Chrono Trigger? Did you expect that one coming? You probably did. You probably did, especially if you know anything. If you've been watching my channel, you've been watching my videos, you know that I love this game. If you're into retro RPGs, you know Chrono Trigger is huge. It's a monster. Maybe you guessed every game on my list. But so what if you did? That's not a big deal. I'm affirming what you know to be true. These games are fantastic. They're so good. They're timeless. I would argue they're necessary experiences for you to have as a video gamer. I'm not gatekeeping here. I'm not intending to gatekeep here, but you should play these. I beg you, do yourself a solid. If you haven't played these, I'm jealous of you. I'm jealous that you get to experience this for the first time. I wish I could do that again. I want to take a moment, of course, to say thank you to the people who are currently paying for content on my channel. Thank you so much. You're supporting the stuff that I'm doing financially, literally supporting it. But of course, every like, every share, every comment helps support this stuff. Particularly, I want to mention those that are paying money, Bubby Cat Viking and Luther Bob. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you. I will continue to use your money to buy like catnip for my cat or something. You know, maybe I'll continue to use the funds that you're giving me for dry erase markers or something. Thank you so much for your support. If you want to see other deep dives, maybe a little deeper videos I have about RPGs, check out some of the ones that are on the screen here. I think I could easily do another list of 5 video games like this, 5 RPGs that everyone should play. And if that's something you're interested in, make sure you let me know, because hey, gaming discourse is important and we should continue.